After some research on some summer positions, I stumbled across an internship through Enterprise Holdings. One of the things that really caught my attention was the quote, Business 101 on 10 cups of coffee. That sounds pretty intense. According to its own website, Enterprise claims to be a family owned world class portfolio of brands. So not only does it own Enterprise Rent a Car, but it also owns other car rental services such as Alamo and National. Um, Enterprise Holdings does not only operate in the US, but it also operates in at least 90 other countries and boasts approximately 100,000 employees. After digging around the website for a little bit, I was able to find their mission statement, which was neatly summarized up into four bullet points, starting with to be the best transportation service provider in the world, to exceed our customers' expectations for service, quality, and value, to provide our employees with a great place to work, and to serve our communities as a committed corporate citizen. I found this ad on glassdoor.com, which you can easily find just by Googling. It's linked with Google. According to this ad, I would be acquiring some pretty important professional skills such as sales, marketing, customer service, business management, and administrative skills that will help jumpstart my career in business. To clarify, I am an accounting major. Um, the qualifications for this internship seems pretty standards for most jobs and internships. Those being that you must be at least 18 years old. Another one being that you need to be enrolled full time as a student getting a bachelor's degree with a graduation date on or before May of 2020. Next would be that you need a minimum of 6 months of relevant work experience, whether that be in customer service, management, supervising, or any type of leadership experience. Next, you would have to have a valid driver's license with no more than two moving violations, which is something that kind of caught me off guard a little bit. I didn't think that I would have to actually be driving for this job. It didn't say anything under the responsibilities. Um, and then finally, you just need to be authorized to work in the United States. Oh, and you also cannot have any drug or alcohol related convictions in the past 3 years. I think that as long as I get through this application process, I think this would be a great fit for me. I mostly want to intern for Enterprise so that I can work on my business related skills and determine what goals I still need to accomplish before I become a businessman of my own. As long as my application gets accepted and I get called in for an interview, I have a couple of questions that I would want to ask my interview. The first one I would want to ask is what would my specific duties be for this position? Going through the job posting on Glassdoor, it doesn't really tell me what my duties would be, but rather what I should be expecting to learn from this internship. Depending on what my responsibilities would be, is what will ultimately influence my decision on whether to accept or decline this position. Next, I would ask what skills and attributes they would be looking for in an applicant. I'm assuming that since they want someone graduating by 2020, they're looking for someone who is either a junior or a senior, and I'm sure they're expecting a certain level of skills before they would be applying for this internship. The third question I would ask is what are some of the biggest challenges for this job? They describe this job as 10 cups of coffee, or Business 101 on 10 cups of coffee, and they just say that it is it's a constantly changing environment, and I just think that it would be nice to know what exactly my biggest challenges would be before I get into something like this. The fourth question I would ask is I would ask my interview what their favorite part is about working for Enterprise. I feel that as a hiring manager, you should always be prepared to answer a question like this, and it would allow for me to get a general feel for the environment and what I should expect during this internship. The final question I would ask is, who would I be working with? I'm sure that as an intern, I should be expecting to be either working in a team-based environment, or I should be working under someone's direct supervision. A couple facts about Enterprise is that they were founded in 1957 by Jack Taylor, and it was first known as Enterprise Leasing Company. Quickly it became one of the top off-airport car rentals, and as of 2012, it has approximately $15.4 billion in revenues. It also claims to be one of the largest employers for new college graduates, with a hiring rate of about 8,000 employees a year. In 2013, Enterprise elected their first female CEO. Her name is Pamela Nicholson. She is also the first CEO in the company to not belong to the Taylor family, which is pretty important considering they claim to be a family business. She, I believe, is the third CEO and directly replaced Andrew Taylor, which was Jack Taylor's son. The car rental industry has changed a little bit ever since the introduction of ride sharing, such as companies like Uber and Lyft. According to an article by USA Today, rides provided by ride sharing has nearly doubled, while the need for car rentals have decreased by 10%. This was as of 2015. Comparatively, the use of taxicabs fell by 25%. I personally believe that this is because it is easier to use a ride-sharing app for short commutes, such as like from your hotel to your airport, or if you are visiting New York City, it's easier to use a ride-sharing app than it is to rent a car because it's easier. It's hard to drive in New York City. But I also believe that it makes more economical sense to rent a car when you are going on a trip that requires long distance for sightseeing. So, for example, my family, we rented a car when we went to Las Vegas because we did not stay in just Las Vegas, but we also traveled to the Grand Canyon and to Hoover Dam, and even went as far as the Redwood National Forest, which is something that would be pretty expensive if you tried using a ride-sharing app. According to Auto News Rental, there are a couple things that car rental companies should be looking forward towards adapting to this new ride-sharing industry that's not necessarily combating them, but going along with them. One of the things that it says is, instead of renting cars for a period of time, they should start encouraging a new system that involves their clients using an app to plan out their trip, such as like making an itinerary, and then a sort of ride-sharing system would come to them and pick them up and take them where they need to go, instead of having to rent out their entire fleet. I believe that it makes their fleet more accessible to people who still need to actually rent the car, and this is more suited towards people who have a pretty scheduled itinerary, such as people who are traveling for jobs rather than vacation. A quote from that article for this particular section states, "In practical form, the traveler plans a trip through a single app that manages modes such as car sharing, micromobility options, and public transportation." Second, the article proposes that companies should switch from a pay-as-needed model to more of a subscription-styled service. Overall, Enterprise is a well-known car rental company that you may have seen in airports when traveling. It has a decent hiring rate and seems to be a progressive company in that it has elected a female as their chief executive officer, which I find pretty awesome. Ride-sharing is still a relatively new industry, so I believe that as long as Enterprise continues to evolve with its competitors, it will have a chance in maintaining its business. In conclusion, I feel that Enterprise would be a great experience. It is a paid internship with a focus on developing my professional skills that will make me highly marketable in the business realm and even jumpstart my future career.